Welcome to Think It's All Sober. Jamie Butler, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
We're good, mate. You've bought us a gift. Let's talk about this to begin with because it's very kind of you. Talk me through it, Tom.
This is New Tonic productivity drink. It's got all of the buzzy words that I like in front of me: natural caffeine, L-theanine, ginseng, rosea, and cognizin. I haven't heard of that one, but it's good.
Really good. So it's a functional drink, high caffeine, but it's a combination of nootropics as well that I've been drinking a lot when I do work and focus work. So I thought I'd bring it in for you boys.
Is it like good? Because we haven't, neither of us have drunk coffee caffeine in like 8 months.
Okay.
Will this send us off the cliff? Let's
Not
try
quite.
it. Not live
Yeah, let's
on
do
air.
it right now and see what happens. Take half and see
I'm
how you
going to
go.
Coldplay tonight. I'll be like, fuck you, Chris.
Take half.
Take half.
Oh, I'm going to Barcelona or Stag tomorrow, so I think I'll send it in the morning. I'll wake
Perfect.
up and shotgun it and see what I'll let you know what I think. But
Christ alive.
that's good. But yeah, thanks for joining us, mate. And yeah, it's interesting really because we've been, I suppose, like I've been following your journey, since you stopped drinking, having had stopped myself and then watching you be quite a big kind of zero advocate when I think you might have still been drinking and switching up to the zeros and then sort of finally, I guess, like knocking it on the head. And it's been great. So we just thought it'd be great to kind of get you on and talk a little bit about your journey, the trials, tribulations, all of the shit that comes along with it, and just have a bit of a combo to go there. So, yeah, I mean, I think we should just dive go straight into Jamie's time machine and get back to it.
Here we go. Real time.
And we're back. So, young Jamie Butler. So, what's first memories of alcohol growing up? Was drinking quite like a prominent thing in your sort of like family life, early days, or not really?
No, not at all. I think the first time I actually remember alcohol being around was my uncle came and stayed with us for a little bit, and he maybe had a can of Skull or something minging, and I would have been about 10 or 11, like, well, what's that thing that you're drinking? Because neither of my parents really drank. So I was like, what is that? And had a sip, like nothing more than that, and immediately spat it out and hated it. So, but then growing up, neither of my parents particularly drank. Maybe a bit of Baileys at Christmas. But it's not like we were sort of semi-raised in the pub or anything like that. And then I think like everyone, you get to like 14, 15, certain people start to push the envelope a little bit in terms of what they can and can't do. And there was no looking back for me after that, it's fair to say.
I was going to say, like, it's interesting in like friendship groups. I think especially male friendship groups when you are that age, because it's almost a bit like, you're right, it's like, go on. Where were you on the spectrum of friendship? Were you like the one who got egged on, or were you the egger-oner?
Protagonist is probably a good word. And that's something that, even though I don't drink now, is still applicable, I'd say, as well. So I think it's really important that, just because you don't drink doesn't mean that you're a fun sponge or anything like that. And actually, sometimes I kind of have to prove that, I feel, to some of my mates, because they kind of, even though I'm 36 now, they kind of infantile me a little bit, where they say, oh, no, you shouldn't go to the bar. And I'm like, fuck off, I'm going to the bar, I'm going to get involved and do all that and try and encourage it. So, strong protagonist. I'm also, a little bit on the bigger side, the larger side. So I was like the one or one of a couple that would, look old enough to go and get served in the garage and do all the madness that went along with that.
And what did those early days look like? Like, what would be your typical choice, and what would a Friday and Saturday night look like for Jamie Butler in Reading?
So it would be, and we're talking like early days. I made friends with some lads from the other side of town through football, and it was great because I had an immediate cover story. So I'd be saying to my parents at sort of 15, 16, I'm just going around my friends, and we're playing Pro Evo. And look, we were playing Pro Evo.
By the way, fuck FIFA. Pro Evo,
exactly. Yeah, that's where the real ones were at.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of artistic license with that, because we were playing Pro Evo, but equally we had a couple of friends' parents who were a little bit more liberal, a little bit more encouraging. We want you to have a safe relationship with alcohol, and we'd get you, a 3-litre bottle of cider between us. And they had no idea that we're basically in their son's bedroom getting blackout drunk playing FIFA. One night, maybe one of the parents would have realised because one of our friends projectile vomited in the bathroom everywhere, and then my mate's mum had to go clean it. Yeah, and from there, pretty soon I was kind of 15 when I started getting served. I remember buying my first pint in the Hope Tap in Reading, a Wetherspoons. The only drink that I knew, it was a little bit like the In-Betweeners. So I went up to the bar and practiced my voice and I'd have a pint of Strongbow, please, mate. And the barman looked at me and said, well, Strongbow's out at the moment. All we've got is Super Strongbow. And I'm like, fucking, I don't know. I'm not looking around for what other alternatives are. I'm like, great, I'll have a pint of that.
What was? I don't even remember Super Strongbow.
Oh, it was a wild time to be alive. Yeah. So 2005, Reading went and played Farnborough in a friendly. A few of us met up in the Hope Tap, getting blackout drunk on Super Strongbow. It's about 7 or 8%.
Oh, geez, I would have sent you.
Yeah. Absolutely loving it.
It's interesting actually because you're, I think, similar to me in the football sense of like I've gone every week since I was a kid, but 14, 15 was when I started to be around older people going to football, and they never encouraged me to drink, but I definitely sort of started to be intrigued by it. And I was a little later than you. It was probably 18, 19 that I fully got into like the sesh culture of it, but being around all of it at the time, it's hard for people that aren't into football to really understand like just how much pub culture, 5 or 6 hours before the game, travel into the game, win, lose, draw, whatever it is, like alcohol is so ingrained in it. Did you always feel from that age of 15, 16, like being in the pub, being part of the football community, that you were like, yeah, this is what I'm about? Yeah,
100%. It's Reading is some of the great things about Reading is how easy it is to get out of Reading. But apart from that, you know, what we those of us who go to football in Reading have a real strong sense of pride. Like this is the club that represents us and where we're from. Even now. I really strongly believe that. That means that certain things happen. A lot of that is alcohol related. And yeah, like for me, it was just hand in glove. You know, it was, I remember being 12. If I didn't go and watch Reading for a couple of weeks, like the teachers would notice that I was like moody and stroppy. Fast forward, you know, a couple of years, and before you know it, if I'm not watching Reading and, you know, in the pub. And around that kind of time when I was sort of 16, 17, the licensing laws changed. I remember absolutely buzzing. We had Arsenal away one year. It was the first game after the licensing laws got relaxed in the Free Guineas, 9:01. The game kicked off at 7:45, 8 o'clock. I bunked off sixth form for the day to go. Sorry, Mum, if you're watching. And, you know, you're just having the absolute time of your life, particularly when you've had kind of boundaries set in a different way, where it was very much taboo growing up. I didn't really see any kind of alcohol consumption whatsoever, to get to that point where you are literally like Charlie at the chocolate factory, and away you fucking
Charlie
go.
at the Charlie factory, am I right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, that's so. I guess like that's going into your late teens, and I know how. I mean, this is like the majority of the year, isn't it? It's like, you know, you go to a lot of away games as well.
Yeah,
like
all the time.
Yeah,
all the time.
So, bar the sort of like, you know, the break from May through till like mid-August, it's pretty much like a weekly party. Then you're just going off from what, you know, 14, 15 through. Well, it still goes on, but like it's pretty. You know, I guess I'm not as. I don't think I've ever been to as many games as like you. Even when I was like really into football, I probably used to get to like, I don't know, 10 games a year max. But every time I did, it would be like full send.
Sesh.
And, you know, I don't think I could have done it every week like that. And so it's pretty, for anyone that's actually done it and sustained and lasted it out, I'm just like, you know what? Some weird way, fair play. So that's just been basically your weekends really, forever.
100%. And then when you actually think about it as well, so around that time, I found this whole new world out there. I fell out of love with school. I always knew that I didn't want to go to university, even from day dot. And so I then got my first job working for a bank. So lunch was, a good day would be, you know, 4 pints of cider and black and cheesy chips. And that's your lunch done. And then you're back into the call centre for the afternoon. Kind of looking around the office going like, blah, blah, blah over there. They're fighting a nap whilst they're on the phone to a customer and all this kind of stuff. Like, it was not just about the football at the weekends. Corporate life started in the very much the same vein as well. Interestingly enough, I then, around the time of the credit crunch, I took a career change. I left the banking industry, went into telesales, took a big pay cut. And so at that time, I then pivoted. So really interestingly, when I was about 19, I actually knocked the booze on the head for about 16 months.
Oh, wow.
Part of a real lifestyle change. So at the time, I was 21 and a half stone. Knew that I wanted a better future for myself. At the time, I wouldn't even run for a bus. Like, I was a real mess. And then I kind of only had enough certain amount of money to get me by. So I would walk to and from the train station, both ends. Couldn't even afford the bus fare. Like, I was brassic. And then it was around the time of the year that things started to get a bit lighter. Summer was on the way, and started to shed a few pounds. And that's when I picked up running as well. So summer 2008. And over that period of about 16 months, I kind of accelerated my weight loss, and ended up losing around 7 stone in that period of time.
That's amazing.
So I kind of went full tilt one way.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then was
And
like,
you were
fuck
what, 21
this.
at this point?
No, younger than that. I was 21 and a half stone.
Right.
So I would have been 18, 19, and then I got back on the sauce just before my 20th birthday.
Wow, that's interesting. Just to pause on that for a moment. So you obviously, through all of that football session, corporate life, there's obviously something in you that was like, okay, this lifestyle isn't serving me, so you're going to make those changes. Because 19 years old is young to kind of realize that. Did you ever at that point think this could be forever? Like, I feel really good, I'm enjoying this? Or did it feel like you were just doing it to get to a point? And I guess to end that question, what was it that then made you decide to go back?
So it's really interesting. I think ultimately, if I just dial into the bit that you just said there, even now, I've not had a drink for 18 months. So last time I looked, it was like 560 days or something like that. But even now, and I think this kind of helps me actually, I'm of a mindset of one day in the future, I might go back to, being back on the beers, whether that's drinking socially or what have you. But I think that actually kind of helps with any feeling of overwhelm, because I don't at any point feel pressured or feel like this is it until death do us part. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even back then it was, a temporary thing. I think the kind of the real difference now is, number one, there I was absolutely being pushed into a situation. Skin had no choice other than to make some changes. And equally, I was a real mess physically. So that was one thing. Whereas now it's much more of a choice, much more empowered. We think about the difference between 2009 and 2025. I mean, fucking hell, if we think about the difference between 2020 and 2025, in terms of what's available,
of course,
how socially acceptable it is now, the different community groups have arisen, even in the last couple of years, you boys have been part of that, just didn't exist in 2009.
100%. So you were going about to turn 20 and got back on the sauce. What was so obviously you started running, and we'll come on to that.
Yeah.
Shortly, because I know you're a big runner now, and you do a lot.
Literally a big runner.
But you do a lot of a lot of marathons, a lot of events, and you're very vocal about it, which is great. So from that point, even though you're getting back on the sauce, was running then like a sort of staple part of your life, do you think?
Yes and no. For a long period, it was basically I was on a cycle where the Reading Half Marathon, great event. Other half marathons available, but if you're in the area, do it. It's a really good one. So that is kind of in March, April time of year. So I'd go through this kind of cycle, particularly through my 20s, where I would stop drinking typically around FA Cup third round weekend, first weekend of January.
That's for everyone listening. That's the first weekend of Jan. Yeah.
And it's also my best mate's birthday that weekend, so it'd be like one big blowout, get absolutely smashed, and then abstain from there for typically 10 to 14 weeks and train for the half. And then Reading Half Marathon would be a massive party afterwards.
Yeah.
You know, quite often doing press ups in on the dance floor of the Turtle or Sakura in Reading, like with your medal, like,
Yeah.
and then you're just one of my old mates, he used to call April to August Jamie season, because he'd just be like, "Good luck, you're not going to see me," right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, before you know it, it's silly season, it's Christmas, and and then you just cycle that for a number of years. Whereas right now, yeah, I take it incredibly serious. So about 7 years ago, I started training at a performance center in Reading called Go Perform.
Big ups.
Maybe, we're fantastic, best in the business. Maybe we'll come on and talk about that rather than jump from kind of like being 20 to 28. But that was a real turning point for me as well.
Yeah. So that's great. So you've been kind of like Reading half for a number of years, full send after. I mean, I've still got mates today. Like one of the school dads has become a good friend of mine. Very, very similar. Like, you know, we'll kind of do dry Jan forward to the marathon, do the marathon, then pretty much send it the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And then, like, you know, be able to get like a final sort of like innings in around Christmas, feel, you know, pretty fucked up after the Christmas season, and then be ready to kind of go again. But I feel like there's only so long you can kind of do that for before even that starts like taking its effect on you, and you're
100%.
like, yeah. So, yeah, I guess your 20s were just a repetition of that then, really.
Yeah.
And you know, still running, still doing that. And did you stop running after the half, or were you still kind of doing bits?
Still doing bits, but you know, nowhere near the level that I've done in the last 6 or 7 years. So yeah, I'd be running, but you know, there's classic times where I'd meet a mate midweek, and we'd both be looking at each other, waiting for the other one, and we had, you know, zero willpower, and before you know it, we're actually having 3 if I was driving, or, you know, 2 if I was driving. And a packet of nuts instead, and then you go, shit, we were meant to meet up and run like 10k and feel really good, but instead, yeah, we've connected and bonded, but we haven't actually. And then actually there's a real power in that you don't realize at the time, but you basically write a contract with yourself that you then renegade on, and you well, I do anyway, I spiral from there. You know, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to fucking do it, or do as close as I can to it.
You just raised an interesting point that I want to dig into a bit more. And for those people that aren't into football, maybe for a bit of context, but you use the word connection there. And I think for a lot of men, and possibly some women, but I know for a lot of men that maybe don't feel like they can communicate with their mates and talk openly and emotionally, maybe like they'd like to. Why do you think football offers a space for people to do that? And why is alcohol and cocaine in particular so ingrained in it? And what do you think it gives men?
Mm-hmm. I think it's like anything in life. You know, for lads in their 20s, getting smashed at football is the equivalent of you know, women bonding over going to watch Taylor Swift, right? It's
that's the third time she's been brought up in 3 podcasts
well, you know,
today.
if she's going to get proposed to, then she's going to be.
I'm scared of her. I'm petrified of her.
I can't wait for the divorce album. Do you know what I mean?
That's a good concept, actually. Maybe Taylor Swift should get her own stadium, like Taylor Swift at home, just every weekend.
Yeah,
oh, fuck,
should be printing money. But you know, it's like anything in life. I think also as well, we live in, particularly in the UK, and increasingly secular times, whereby what brought people together, you know, 30, 40, 50 plus years ago would be having a common meeting place at a set time. You even then think, you might not be singing much at West Ham these days, but at most stadiums across the country, there's shared gospel. You're typically standing side by side with people. So actually what we've done is we've kind of swapped these places where people would meet, they would have a shared interest, and they would sing and rejoice, or be there for each other to pick one another up, as may be the case with when you're a Reading fan as well. And we've kind of swapped it, and before you know it, one thing has replaced the other. Also, when it comes to male friendships in particular, we are really good in the real, and I'm talking real life now, I'm not talking about Instagram where you see everyone having these deep-seated, connected conversations. You know, if my WhatsApp from this afternoon got hacked, you boys would blush at what goes on, right? So friendships are typically, in my experience, the foundation of that is piss taking, is kind of putting one another down, And part of that is having that shared experience of going to football, particularly if you're going to an away game. If you're a Reading fan, you've maybe got 500 fans going to Rotherham or somewhere else that's not the most glamorous place in the country. And then you've got your little group of you and 20 mates, and it's you against the world.
No, I agree. Where do you think it can become a slippery slope at football for anyone?
When it becomes too much. And the problem is people don't necessarily understand when it becomes too much. So it's just a series of unchecked behaviours. I was really lucky that I was able to stop at a time when I felt that it was appropriate for me. But there's so many people, that up and down the country, regardless of what advice they get, will be in their 50s and 60s, zero fucks given, getting smashed at the weekend, every other weekend, having the time of their life. Crack on. If that's what you want to do, happy days. I'm at a stage in my life where I've decided to sit out on the sidelines. And as I said earlier, that might be temporary. It might be that I turn into a sesh head when I'm, in my 50s and the kids are grown up.
Reading win the Champions League.
Well, we might dream. Do you know what I mean? But listen, there's loads of people that just carry on and can continue to do it.
Let's talk about the sort of the run into you, because I guess, like, for lack of a better word, the sober curious journey for you.
Mm-hmm.
You've done it before, for maybe different motivations and reasons. When did you start thinking about, like, oh, let's have a zero beer and let's start maybe not, when did that kind of relationship with alcohol start switching for you? How long ago was that?
Yeah, it's a good question. So it's probably about 7 or 8 years ago, I would say. So around the time just before I started training in Go Perform. So clearly I was mates with your brother-in-law, Jordan, right? And he was older than me. So a real kind of big brother type character for me.
Mm-hmm.
And we would quite often have conversations. And I think people need an ally, men in particular, to someone to kind of hold your hand.
Absolutely.
When your kids are going to the doctors, right? You hold the hand and you go with them. And when people are thinking about reducing their alcohol intake, for me personally, I consider myself that I gave up gradually and then suddenly. And I can remember there was a time, and I work in sales. I've worked in sales for 15 years. Has some tremendous highs where you feel like you are king of the world, and some of the lowest lows where you can't sleep at night because you're processing all the calculations in your head around what needs to happen on these 5 different deals that you have zero control over. You can influence, but you can't control. And you're lying there at bed at night on the 21st of December, worrying about how you're going to make target tomorrow, right? And I can remember there was a time around 2017, 2018, where I hit my quarter number at work. And I can remember the wife said to me, do you want to, should we get a bottle of wine in tonight? Amazing, you've hit your quarter. Tomorrow's the end of quarter. You've done it with a day to spare. And I just remember saying no. That was quite out of character behaviour for me at the time. And I said to her, I didn't realise quite how profound it would be at the time, but I said to her, listen, that can't be my go-to when I'm successful, because when I'm not successful, that's going to become my crutch, and that'll become a slippery slope to become a dependency. So I would say from there, and that's probably about 2017, 2018.
Could I ask quickly, like, when you said a slippery slope to dependency, did you feel like maybe you did have something within you that could go that route? Because it sounds like you're very self-aware of it, and I feel like you're only that self-aware if you're worried about the consequences.
Yeah, I think also as well, like, I know I've got a really addictive personality, so I've played paddle once, and before you know it, I've played it 15 times and got a racket, and everything I look at on Instagram is paddle. So
your Instagram story, by the way, the other day cracked me up. You were like, 8th game of paddle, 8th successive defeat.
Yeah.
We move.
Yeah. I am dog shit at that. So, but I'm going to turn up and I'm going to keep going, and I will, maybe not quite be paddle world champ, but yeah, I know that I've got that real addictive personality. So, and also one of my favorite things about running is actually the loneliness aspect of it. So, for instance, I went and watched Reading last night and at the weekend, and I know everyone there. I'm just that social person. But actually, when you're running, it's you and your lungs, it's you and your thoughts. And so I've always been really, really self-aware, maybe to my detriment. One of the things that I've realized in recent times is actually, I said I went running this morning with a mate, and I said, actually, not drinking is kind of like freeing up some phone storage on my phone. And now, instead of having it filled with like all the shit apps that are like saving, my time, I've got the opportunity ahead now to fill my brain with some good stuff. So yeah, I kind of just dramatized the future and just knew to intervene and have a word with myself.
Nice.
Yeah, that's it's great.
That's
Sorry.
fucking admirable. No, I was gonna say it's very admirable because I think I always knew that. I couldn't get there. I always knew it wasn't serving me. I just couldn't get there.
Yeah, I'm the same, and I feel like, especially like towards the end of my like drinking career, I was on this like, almost felt like I was on the wave on the surfboard, and I couldn't get off. I'd have to ride the wave out before I, hopped off. So
it's interesting though. I guess similarly, to relate to what you said about hitting your quarter, in a football analogy, I did that first season of West Ham, being in Europe, drinking, and the second season we went on to win it, I did sober, and it was such a test being in Prague and winning that final for that thing that I genuinely, since I was 3 years old and I first went to football, had like been dreaming of seeing us win a trophy, to actually be like, no, like I want this to be the moment that it is, and not actually change it. And I think once you can accept that, you can kind of defeat anything.
100%. And for me, I've got the nearest parallel I've got to that is I was really fortunate. I had a ticket for the Euro final in 2021. Got smashed. It's not that I don't remember it, but I remember more of the Euro final last year in Berlin that I went to sober.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting as well, you've probably both experienced this, is you have these events whereby people go, oh, I thought you were going to drink today. It's like, are you fucking mental? But like friend's funeral earlier this year, I thought today would be the day that you'd have a drink. Well, it's not going to bring him back. Do you know what I mean? Like, so what changes? It's not going to, we've got 11 men out there on the pitch. They're not all of a sudden going to try and run a little bit harder and do a little bit better because I've had 4 pints of Stella. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just not going to happen.
It's mad, isn't it? So yeah, I guess like 7-8 years ago, you had that conversation with your wife, and then, I mean, we always say it probably took 4 or 5 years of like thinking about it in some weird way in the back of your head before actually like actioning it. But what did those last kind of like few years look like for you in terms of like drinking habits, fitness, like relationships? Like, what were the kind of big factors?
Sure. So around that time is when I started training in Go Perform. So that's a state-of-the-art physiotherapy, recovery, rehab centre in Reading. And I did that to complement my running. So I got a place in the London Marathon 2019. It was the first marathon I'd done for 4 years. And I wanted it to take it a little bit more seriously and get a little fitter because I was also getting married in the summer of 2019.
Nice.
And then what was really telling was you kind of go into a professional environment whereby you're just an average punter off the street, right? But they treat everyone the same. And you're surrounded by professionals. So all of a sudden you take things a lot more seriously. And at the same time, I used to go on a Tuesday morning, and if I had a particularly indulgent weekend, I could still feel the after effects even on a Tuesday morning. So I think what was really important for me and what really helped was I found something that I loved more than getting on it. Whereas a lot of people, they kind of go, oh shit, I've got a problem, I need to address it. I'm just going to stop. And then it's really sudden and they've got nothing to fill that void. I had something ready-made and I instantly noticed the benefits and felt better, right? So that was the number one most important thing. Number two, we then fast forward a year to 2020, lockdown rolls into town. I did all the neck nominate challenges. I did all the, boozing on house party and all that kind of shenanigans that went on. But also I had a lot more time to, focus on my fitness. Couldn't do fuck all else, right? So I signed up for a 50K ultra marathon. Told you I had an addictive personality. And before you know it, it's like pushing the envelope again. Michael Gove says you can only leave the house once a day. Well, listen, Govey, I'm going to leave the house for a 4-hour run or a 6-hour walk. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fuck you. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gone. So, and then the kind of the compound effect comes, whereby you like any task, you get more competent at it, you get more confident at it, and then you practice it more, which means you get more competent at it, you get your confidence, and and away you go. So then I became a father in 2022. And that's when I started to moderate my drinking again, because life as a dad is fucking hard enough as it is without throwing hangovers in the mix. And also, what I was getting really tired of would be if I had a big session lined up, I would kind of block out the next day. That's great. But what I would find is that sometimes I would feel fine the next day. So I'd be like, I'll feel totally fine, but I've blacked out this time and all my mates are busy, or, stuff's like not going on. It's a waste of time. Equally, I would kind of have like 3 pints on a Tuesday night, wake up the next morning, feel rough as fuck. So that like unpredictability, I hated it. So that was kind of a trigger and a warning sign for me that it kind of wasn't serving me any longer. And then, around that time as well, I started to, where I said earlier, I kind of gave up gradually and then suddenly. And you said, it takes time of conscious effort to practice this. I would go through certain spells where, particularly with Jordan, so an ally, a trusted ally that you can go into battle with, we would kind of spur each on with these little challenges, or we'd say like, right, you're going on holiday then, you're going to have 2 or 3 weeks, and we kind of root each other on from the sidelines. Whether we were doing it at the same moment as one another wasn't really the point. It was the fact that you had somebody that was kind of in your corner, and you could sort of send them a text and be like, mate, I'm really struggling today. I think I'm going to break. And they'd be like, no, don't break here. You're stronger than this. Like, keep going, and away you go. Then if we fast forward to 2023, the addictive personality strikes again. We had a second child, right? And around that summer, there was some stuff going on. Like, me and a few of the boys, we did hospitality at the Oval.
Yeah.
And I remember looking in the mirror like we all do, and thinking, I don't really like what's looking back at me. I'm going to put myself on like a sort of 4-week, which is madness looking back. You have like a 4-week of window of like suffering or abstaining for like 1 day at the cricket. Yeah. But I'm like, no, I'm going to earn those beers. So up the running intensity, focus on my diet a little bit. Whether I looked any different or any better or not, probably didn't. But, I did. But then that told me that I could do this. And actually, that's one of those days where I had a big all day lined up, all the partying, all lined up. And then the next day, I felt totally fine. And was like, what am I doing now? The wife was away for the weekend. I had a day to myself, just walking around, like moping around. And then a couple of months after that, got into the kind of the danger window where wife was due to give birth to our second child. So was absolutely going to abstain around that time. So this is like September, October 2023. And at that time, Jordan left us really suddenly, due to walk with him one night, and I get a phone call that morning to say that he'd passed away the day before. And I had a big blowout at the football a week or 10 days after that. We had Leighton Orient away, lost 2-1, thanks David Button. And that was one last big blowout. And then after that, I didn't drink for 8 weeks. And around that time, so lost somebody really close to me really suddenly, and also gained new life with my our second daughter arriving. And that really messed with me in a way that no one truly knows, because you can't kind of get your head around somebody going so suddenly, and also then you get this mad roller coaster of feeling awful and feeling real despair and real lows, with this incredible high of new life arriving.
I guess weird guilt in a way, right? That's like, what,
Yeah, absolutely.
The horrible thing that is life. You can't balance it.
Exactly that. So I'm really thankful that at the time I didn't then chuck a load of booze into the mix, because so many people that I know, and I'm sure that we know and that exist in the world, would go. And I actually overheard somebody when I was coming off the train earlier on the phone to a friend going, "Oh, alcohol's going to help you with that. You need to go on a smash." And it's like, yeah, you got a big fucking wound across your abdomen. You're just going to put a plaster on it. Do you know what I mean? So around that time, I then also just really focused on fitness. So I was just like, that's going to be my outlet to get super fit. And I did a half marathon at the end of 2023, got a big PB, 142 for any running nerds listening.
Unbelievable.
And I met a mate of mine runs a group of pubs in London, and I met him after in his pub in Hackney Wick, the Lord Napier Star.
Unbelievable pub, like you're saying on tap. Big shout out, come on your eyes.
Yeah, Rob does absolute bits. Yeah, so Rob was a real pioneer, I would say, of getting Lucky Saint and Zeros into his pub. So yeah, amazing, top guy. And I can remember talking to him and having like one sip of Guinness and instantly regretting it. It was like early December 2023, and I was kind of getting back on the sauce just because it's Christmas. And within a third of a pint, really regretted it.
Well, that's really interesting. I mean, I guess like I know you were really close with Jordan, and I think he had a just giving it banter, giving people shit all the time, like great personality. But I don't know, from my perspective, when he passed away, obviously you have a certain time period where you're just like treading water a little bit, and you're like, what the fuck is this? But for me, I kind of use that because I mean, I get really bad like health anxiety. So when something like that happens, when someone that's like on the most part relatively like quite fit, dies suddenly, it kind of spurred me on to try and get a bit healthier.
100%.
I think I was probably like 18 months into my sobriety when that happened, so it was tough to deal with. But do you think like his passing away has helped you? Has he used motivation for you in certain ways?
Yeah, 100%. So I carry now, and I've never really spoken about this, but I carry now a tremendous level of guilt because the week before Jordan passed, I went to Butlins for one of my best mates' 40ths, which was an incredible smash up. A couple of 6 a.m. finishes, just the best time partying at the time. And in that week before, Jordan was texting me and talking about, he copied me, bought the same Garmin, you get your heart rate variability stats, your VO2 max. We'd be comparing it all the time. And he had a bit of renewed focus ahead of his birthday, and he wanted to go for a walk. And I said, listen, mate, I can't go for a walk with you this week because I want to do a 10K run every day for the next 5 days. The old addictive personality kicks in again. Because I'm going to Butlins on the Smash on Friday. I'll see you on Tuesday and we'll go for a walk. He died on the Monday, so I didn't get to do the walk with him. So, we all have those kind of crutches that we fall on when we have moments where we think about getting back on the Smash. And for me, I look at those texts and I go, I chose that over seeing a real dear mate for a last time. And that's going to live with me for a long time. That doesn't mean if I decide to have a beer in 5 months or 5 years or 10 years time that I'm any weaker for it. But right now, that really helps me to carry on. And also, I know that he would have tremendous pride in what I've achieved and given up the source. So that kind of keeps me going.
Yeah, mate, he'd be really proud. And I think you just don't know what life's cards are going to give, do you? And
No.
I think it's you should never be too hard on yourself in situations like that because we're all guilty of it. And I think anyone that's like lost anyone, you kind of think, oh shit, I should have done this or that, and that kind of moment. But nothing could have been done. And I know that he valued you as like a a very close friend. So I think I've learned a lot from his passing. I think like everyone else, like yourself, and I know Darren, a few of the other boys as well, have to just kind of harness that energy and use it as motivation. And you're obviously using it as good motivation for the drink and being there for your family and stuff. So it's important, but it doesn't make it any easier.
No, it really doesn't. And I had a moment of temptation a week or two ago. There's another podcast, Under the Cosh. They had David Bentley on. I don't know if you've heard it or not, but he's talking about, you know, all the dressing room stuff and signing for a team in Russia and then going out on a smash and the madness that goes on with it. And you know, you're driving along on the way to an engagement party, knowing that you're going to be on the zeros that night, knowing that you're turning up late and everyone's going to be, you know, on their way to having a merry time. So you're going into that kind of environment, and before you know it, you're on the M4 and you're going just marginally over 70 miles an hour because you're like, fuck, I'm that person again. And then you actually break it down and you realize that that alcohol is not what I miss about that. It's the silliness.
Yeah.
So then I turn up at the engagement party and I'm like, right, what can I do to be silly? Like, what can I do or say just to have some kind of antics, even if it's like lemon and herb on the Nando scale, whereas it used to be hot or extra hot. You know, you just need to just kind of flirt with it a little bit. You know,
it's so interesting that I think I said it to you, but I got back from Sunderland away the other week, which we won't speak about.
No.
But I had a real laugh on the train home with my mates, and they were all really pissed. And then I was going to meet my girlfriend at a gig at the Lexington, and I was at King's Cross, and I was walking up, and I heard this noise, and I looked up, and there was people having a party on a balcony. And for the first time in my sobriety, it wasn't that I wanted to go and get fucked up, but I had this like pang of like hurt, almost like I missed turning up to like a random house party or like a gathering with like a bunch of tinnies, knowing that the night was going to be chaos. And I had this real thing of like, oh my God, I missed that. And then I was just thinking, no, I can still do that.
100%.
I can absolutely still do that. I just now think I'm sometimes quite guilty of like not letting myself do that because I'm like, well, no, that's the old me. But actually not, it's not. It's still me. It's just I'm not going to be like fucking calling the dealer 4 times.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, over the course of the evening, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like the rituals are part of it as well, you know. And that was always the way when you're going to football, it's, you know, it's the carrier bag full of cans, ready for the train. Quite often, you know, you're actually on the train for longer than you're at the football anyway.
Yeah.
But do you know what? Some of those more memorable times are where you're on the train to some non-glamorous place, the other end of the
Grimsby.
country.
There you go.
Yeah.
No, other towns are available.
And you know, that quite often it's actually more the ritual than the actual alcohol itself, but it's really important to like break it down, whereas so many people just associate it with the alcohol and it's so easily done. I mean, listen, anytime you put football on or any kind of sport, it's alcohol, it's betting. It's just rammed in our faces. It's so normalized that actually you then become the weirdo, quote unquote, for pointing out that this is everywhere.
Yeah. Was gambling something that ever took hold on you, or have you never been a gambler?
No, not for me. I've got plenty of mates who've been down that particular path. No, not for me.
I'm just so shit at it.
Exactly. I think that helps.
I might put a £5 on a week, and every time I lose, although I did log in at the start of the season, I had 52 quid in my account, and I forgot I'd put a bet on Ipswich away. Bowen and Kudos both to score. Completely forgot, and I was like, "Bosh, that's good. That brings my brings it up by a little bit."
That's the 2025 equivalent of putting a jacket on and finding a tenner in the pocket.
Yes,
you know what I mean? Like,
there you go.
Or a baggie back in my day.
Yeah.
So what was the date that you actually stopped? Can you remember?
I can't remember the exact date. I've got it tracked on the I Am Sober app, but I know that it was February 2024.
Nice. Yeah. And was there like a particular moment that happened, or were you just like, this is it for a bit?
Yeah, so I knew instantly at the start of December 23 when I got back on the Shant after the half marathon and that kind of mini block that instantly it wasn't for me anymore. Then you're kind of riding the wave of it being Christmas and New Year and FA Cup third round and all that other stuff that goes on. And then I knew that I had some other like commitments to attend to. And then I had a place in London Marathon 2024. And I was like, no, from this weekend onwards, I'm not going to drink. And then, as I said earlier on, it's really important, you know, that you have something ready-made to take the place, that kind of obsession to replace the alcohol. So for me, it was quite a natural thing of training for London Marathon, knowing that I wanted to get a really good time. I was in good physical nick. I got 3:55.
Unreal.
Well done, mate.
You know, I'm a big old
sub
boy as well.
Sub 4 is a fucking, that's like my goal would be sub 4. That's like unbelievable.
Yeah, it felt really good. And, you know, the marathon is one day. You train for like 16 weeks. That's 93 days that you've got. So the marathon's actually just the cherry on top of the cake. But in this case, yeah, a cherry that I'm super proud of to this day. And then in the run up to London Marathon, I had a lot of people saying to me, well, this is going to be the session to end all sessions. It's your comeback. Remember the days when we'd go out after Reading half marathon, let's do the same in London, let's get fucked up. And then you look down and you're like, well, I've got a 6-month-old and a 2-year-old to take into account. So that doesn't really compute with getting smashed up. No, do you know what? Actually, like London Marathon Day is going to be 86 days sober or whatever it was. I'll tell you what, I'm going to keep going and get to 100. And then before you know it, nobody's around for day 100 because it's a Tuesday night. It's May the 14th. And you're like,
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Football season's over.
Yeah, I'll just do bedtime with the girls then, shall I? Do you know what I mean? Like, and away you go. And before you know it, it got incrementally easier the more I went on.
That's great, mate. And let's talk about. So obviously, you've had pretty solid group of football mates. From late teens through your 20s. What was their reaction to you being off the sauce? Because I can't imagine that it was necessarily received with open arms in its infancy.
Nah, and it's still not now. I sent a text earlier saying that I'm off to do this today, and yeah, the floodgates come back with abuse. Not a single one of them says good luck or that's amazing. My mate I went running with this morning, he did say big up and best of luck and all that. So you just take the rough with the smooth, and also I know that I'm one of them that would give them equal amounts of shit for their stuff. It's just they might have a certain obsession that they think's really cool and okay, and mine's parkrun. And I'm like, well, that's my thing. Your thing is going down the local 4 nights a week. You do your. I'm not here fucking telling you how to live your life. So I'd rather you didn't tell me how to live mine. I know that there's some that will say one thing to me and then they'll say things not behind my back, but they'll say things not to me because I'll hear it from other people. So you said yesterday about a friend that had reached out after Reading Festival, thinking about moderating. And to be fair, they are somebody that's kind of warm into the idea as well. But it's that lad culture, Everyone wants to be, even though we're in our mid-30s, everyone wants to have that big dick energy, to be cool as fuck. Well, sorry, boys. I'm proof you can do it and still have a 0 and not have to go and get smashed up 4 times a week.
Mate, exactly the same. And it's funny, I've still got a couple of mates at football. They had a bet the first year I went sober, 100 quid that I'd do gear by the end of the season. And then every time I see them, I'm like, where's my 100 quid? They're
Funny
that.
Well,
yeah. And I'm like, well, yeah, exactly. But you're right. Like people, all of us are proof. Like I can still, got my mates the other week. There was 2 of them. They must have had 20 plus cans of Peroni.
Yeah.
The train up, train back. Like we're hammered, but we had such a good time. They don't give me much shit. They're really supportive. But they'll make little comments, but it's things like they're now thoughtful. So they'll go to, they went to Tesco before we got on the train to Sunderland. And then my mate turned up with like 8 Asahi Zeros for me. And I was like,
nice.
oh, that's cool. You get this now. Maybe in the first year they didn't get it, and they'd be like, "Oh, there's a water," or you get left out the round.
Yeah, that's
the thing that I sometimes struggle with because obviously we all know how difficult it is getting a beer at football anyway.
Yeah.
So like if someone goes to the bar and comes back with like 4 pints, and you're like, oh, and then you're like,
it's really funny though, that they want to do shit like that or get your drink with a straw, but when they want to lift somewhere where it's a real pain in the ass to get, then that soon gets forgotten about. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, hang on a minute.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because we do this pod, and I said it on the last one. Like, we're not anti-drink. Like, half our listeners on this podcast, still drink. And like, we started this podcast for people to just have a think about what their relationship with alcohol is, and to just have a slightly deeper look inside yourself and go, is it serving me well?
Yeah.
And the point is like, if you're in your mid-30s and you're still going on a boozer 4 times a week and you're still caning it, like, realistically, just be honest with yourself. Like, have you pissed your missus off in the last couple of weeks from your drinking?
Yeah.
Are you being a good enough parent that you can safely turn around when your kid's 18 and say, I was there for most stuff? And, is your relationships with your mates in a good place? Do you feel good? Are you able to, commit to training and, like, being healthy? Or are you fine with just looking like shit and fucking continuing the same patterns? And do you know what? Like, if that's what you want to do and it's more important, then fair enough.
Yeah, crack on.
And it's not my place to judge, but what I would say is like all of this other shit is way more important. And actually, I know it might seem scary taking the jump to actually do it, but you know, actually just those 4 days a week that you're caning it, why don't you just do it 1 day a week and see if it's any better?
Yeah, like
that could be enough of a change. Do you know what I mean?
Moderation, you know, I gave it up gradually and then suddenly. And some of that is actually, well, yeah, I'm going to go down the pub this night because it's a Champions League night. Well, so what? But, you know, so some people, actually, that's a really important part of their week, whereby they're getting shit all day at work from customers, from people they work with, from suppliers. They get shit the minute they walk in through the front door. And for some people, it's just an emergency button, press glass, I'm out of here. You know, they go down the pub or whatever. They don't give a fuck that they're watching Liverpool v Bayer Leverkusen. Actually, they're on their phone, they're gambling, they're having a bit. Actually, the thing there that they're getting is the release from home life, right? So you could be in the pub having a 0. You don't have to have the 4 pints or have it escalate to 4 pints and a bit of extras on a Tuesday night and then feel horrific. And then before you know it, oh, well, I've written this week off and, you know, I might as well get smashed up now. And then it's Thirsty Thursday and then Ferocious Fridays and then it's the weekend. And then before you know it, you've got smashed 5 days in a row. Like, it really quickly happens.
So true. And I think it's why when we had Dapper on the pod, you know, we had our reservations about it, but actually, like, when you heard him speak and it's to a very certain demographic, I'm sure we're all very aware of, it's like, it hits home, and I think it hits home with a lot of them because a lot of these men don't feel like there's a space for them to discuss it. Did you see that Danny Dyer Marching Powder film? It really pissed me off, actually, because I was like, it had such a chance to actually say something to society. It had such a chance to be like, this guy is a fucking wreck, doing loads of gear. He's like fucking around with his missus. He's losing his kid. He's losing his wife. Yeah. And you're like, cool, this is going to end in change. And then at the end, he just does the same thing again. And you're like, oh, for fuck's sake. And I was like, that really had a moment to like be something. And I was so annoyed because I love Danny Dyer and I love Nick, that director. But I was just so frustrated because I was like, this actually, I'm not saying that film has to go and be like a deep social commentary, but actually, like, it could have gone 30% further, and some men could have just gone, oh yeah, maybe I don't have to go to the pub.
Well, listen, I think we've just written a sequel, haven't we?
Yeah, there we go.
Anyone got Nick Love's number? Let's give him a bell.
Let's go.
The kombucha edition.
Hey, on the new tonic.
But and have you found fatherhood like through sobriety?
Do you know what? Not drinking is the biggest blessing ever, because it means that whereas I might lose Friday night down the pub or whatever but what I gain is most Saturday mornings I'm out doing park run with the double buggy, with both daughters in the front. You know, my eldest, one of her first words was park run. That sounds like a fucking did not happen, but I promise you, like, one of the first 15 words that she ever said was park run. Closely followed by Reading Football Club. And
fuck with J-Ski.
Yeah. and you just get that. It sounds so wanky to say, like, you know, I've got connection and I've got this and I've got that, but honestly, I wouldn't change anything for the world. I couldn't imagine any time in the future going back to getting on the smash, because I see it in other people that I'm around where they get so negligent of their kids, and then where I don't drink, I really notice it. And you just see these kids that are desperate for their parents' attention, and they're not getting it. And it's really, I'm not here to tell anyone to live their life, because if somebody tried to tell me how to live mine, I'd tell them to fuck off. And equally, if somebody told me how to parent, I'd tell them to do one. So I'm not going to tell anyone to parent, but I just look and I go, you know, Jordan loved a quote. One of his quotes is, in life, you can either be a lesson or an example. And that's a really interesting situation where you just sit back and you observe. If you've had a long day out together somewhere and you look back and you just go, I'm on the right side of things here. When all's said and done, in 5 years' time or whatever, like, I'm going to sleep really fucking well when I think about this day.
Mate,
I love that.
Couldn't agree with you more. And I think
that's going to be the title of the episode.
Yeah, it's good. It's very good. But I couldn't agree with you anymore, and I think that's one of my like biggest driving factors is that you know, I might be away a lot, and I might be work a lot in the week, but I've changed my life now and engineered it in a way that, you know, I'm trying to spend 10 weeks, take 10 weeks off a year, trying to spend quality time with my kid and family, and you know, and at the weekends try and be really present. And you know, I even left my phone at home the other week when I went away, just literally left it at home, and that was like a great game changer. And I'm with you, like, you know, that's probably going to matter to me more than anything else. Turn around and go, cool, you know, you're a good parent, and you know, be the example.
Jordan loved that one.
Yeah, it's good. I think it's time.
I think it's time.
Right, big three questions. So, for anyone who's thinking of going on a journey of sobriety, what would your single best piece of advice be?
Don't try and boil the ocean. So many people, they do it with, whether it be dieting, whether it be with quitting smoking, whether it be with any kind of habit that you want to improve. So many people go for the finish line, the 26.2 miles, without just running 1 mile. Once you can run 1 mile, run 2 miles and build it from there. So yeah, take it slow and steady, and also just be really kind on yourself, because it's a journey. Nobody can do it kind of like that and turn a light switch and then you're done. Just lean into the journey and make it as manageable as possible.
Yeah, that's great, mate. What's the single best thing that sobriety has brought you?
I would say peace, but that's also an ever-evolving journey. So what's really interesting for me is I'm like 18 months into sobriety now, and I just feel like I've had kind of like another cycle of storage freed up in my phone. So I've got more mental capacity and I've got a little bit more pep in my step than ever before. So yeah, that kind of renewed energy and clarity.
It's great.
Love it. And finally, we would like Jamie to write a letter to drunk Jamie. So if you could start with, Dear Jamie, what would you say to your former self?
Dear Jamie, there's a better way. You might not know it right now, but there is a better way. This doesn't have to be your life story. You can get off this train at any time you want. You're in complete control of your choices. And when you go to bed tonight, just think about the choices that you're making.
Love it.
It's great.
Mate, thank you so much. I think that's an amazing episode. So really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for coming, mate.
Cheers. Thanks for having us.